So you guys missed yesterday's part 2 training. Not to worry. In the next 10 minutes, let me give you a summary of our Bazi training yesterday. All right. So once again, let's look at the framework in case you missed the framework. So we are in the midst of an intensive 5-part training where the first part talked about the identifying identity and the strengths and all that. And part 2, which was what happened yesterday, was focusing on potential and how to maximize that potential. So I started off our training by talking about who wants to find their passion, right? And so, of course, in the chat, you can see everyone wants to find their passion. Then I talked about, well, really, passion is not about finding. It's not like there's a place somewhere where passion is just waiting for you to go find it. In fact, I talked about the law of cause and effect, which is the most important concept when it comes to Bazi and life transformation. Because while we could read a lot of good stuff in our chart or bad stuff in our chart, right? But without understanding how the law of cause and effect works, we cannot transform our chart from something that is not so pleasant to something is pleasant. So I asked the group yesterday, between easy or hard, what would their choice be, right? Anything that's easy or anything that is hard? Well, they chose easy. I said, well, between rich or poor, which would you prefer and which would be good for you? They say, yeah, of course, rich. Who wants to be poor, right? Between fit or fat, you want to be fit, right? Not fat, right? Between fast or slow, getting something fast or getting something slow, they said fast. So people want to get rich in the fastest way, right? So obviously, but those things are called effects. The cause to getting rich and getting fit and getting something easy all depends on whether or not some of us fall in love with the cause. And that's the important part. So I talked about the secret of getting what you want in life or what we want in life. And the greatest secret is this: the willingness to pay the price. And this is the essence of what the law of cause and effect really means. Like, for example, to be happy in life, to be rich in life, to have a happy marriage, to be healthy, to be slim and attractive, to be successful in your career, to have great friendships, to attain recognition or respect or freedom, all comes with a price to pay. There's a price to pay to become rich. But here's the thing: there's a greater price to be paid if one is poor. There's even greater price to pay for an unhappy marriage, isn't it? I mean, there's a price to pay to achieve happiness in marriage, but the price you pay is even worse if the marriage is unhappy or if you're sick. Wouldn't that be a much bigger price to pay than to pay the price to stay healthy? And, if you're fat and unfit and unhealthy, there's an even bigger price to pay. And there's a huge price to pay when you get betrayed or get sidelined or be disrespected. So either way, the realization is this: the greatest realization is to realize too late that you had a potential to be far greater than you are right now, but you didn't maximize it. The greatest price that we pay in life is the price of regret. And so that was the whole gist of the cause and effect. In order to us to get the outcome, there is a cause for that. Fall in love with the cause, and soon enough, when you do something with purpose, you will discover that that is passion. And stress is normally created when you do work that is meaningless to you and that doesn't align with your greater good. When you do work that is aligned with your greater purpose, aligned with meaning, we call that passion. Okay, so that's what the first part of the day was. And so that was the first topic. And then I talked about the core identity atlas. And as you know, I've already announced this in the first session that at the end of this 5-part training, if any one of you guys wish to take this further, then I recommend that you take on the Bazi Core Identity Atlas training program, where we talked about character, how to analyze traits, interests, abilities, and talents in detail. And also there's a different version of this where we call that the toolkit. The toolkit are, instead of a training course, it's actually reference cards, mind maps that actually talk about character, traits, and interests, abilities, and talent. And I sort of dwell deeper into what it means, because a lot of people don't know what character and traits. It's not the same thing. Well, character is a little bit like values and virtues. It's like a person's moral code, whereas traits is like No, a person can have certain integrity and all that, but a person can be OCD or methodical or laid back, right? That's a trait, okay? And so a person can be respectful, right, or compassionate. That's a virtue of a character. But at the same time, he could be ultra competitive and introverted or extroverted. That's a trait. That's the difference. And interests are based on a chart. It talks about inclinations that one is naturally drawn into. Like someone could be, loyal, trustworthy, is OCD, but also likes traveling. Interest in traveling or interest in playing a musical instrument. Whereas abilities are like soft skills that the Bazi chart will show that you may be able to attain, like communication, good teamwork, someone who has natural time management abilities, right? And talents is your aptitude. Right. For example, some people might be musically inclined. Some people might have linguistic ability to learn new languages. They have memory recall ability, so that they are talents. Okay. So all this is the Bazi core identity atlas. So it's either a training program or it could be one of these reference toolkit that you could use. So if you're at the end of the training, you might be interested in this, then please go for that. Okay. Now, talking about potential. We're talking about maximizing talents, gifts, and abilities. So part of yesterday's training, I talked about why most people fail in realizing their potential. Well, this is simply because of basically two things. Number one, they are limited by what they already know right now, but the answers to what they could really do is outside of everything else that they currently know. Everything else that you don't know right now is where your potential actually lies. And when they say that you want to maximize life, well, one of the discussions, what exactly are you maximizing? It's not like you're maximizing your size of your pants. So how do you maximize? Well, the real maximization can only be really six things. You either maximize your time, you maximize the resources that you have at this moment in your life, you maximize your network, you maximize your mentors, you maximize your talent, and you maximize your money. You see, many people maximize their life because they sleep 8 hours or sleep 9 hours. All you have to do is sleep less and use the time to do something. That's maximizing time. But a lot of people don't do that. They watch Netflix instead, right? Or resources, right? If you have access to somebody else's assets or places or whatever things that you could use, why not ask for that favor? A lot of people don't use their resources. How about network? I mean, if you know someone and someone knows someone, why are you not actually making that effort to actually connect with them and build great relationships with them so that eventually they could be your suppliers, supporters, or even clients? A lot of people don't do that. So they're not maximizing. Not that they don't know. Even if they don't do anything about it, like mentors. Now, how about maximizing mentors, right? People have the assumption that all mentors are obligated to teach them. No, to become a mentee of a mentor requires effort. And a lot of people actually don't maximize that, right? When they identify an icon or a hero or someone they can learn from, they don't make an effort to build that value relationship with them. So that's maximizing mentor. And when they have the talents, they don't invest time, energy, resources, money into maximizing something they're talented in. And so then their life drift by. And then they say, how do I maximize my wealth? Hello, a lot of people don't want to maximize their wealth. Oh, let's talking about wealth. Let's talk about money. How many people actually maximize their money? Do you save money? That was the question that I asked everyone yesterday. Say, yeah, we save a lot of money. Then you're not maximizing it because you can't outsave inflation. So your money has to be put into working hard for you. So a lot of people actually don't know how to maximize their money in the first place, right? So they just put it somewhere if they have access to, and that's why it's not maximized. So that's when we talk about maximizing your potential, it's really those couple of things. And yesterday I talked about jumping from different leagues because in order for us to become better, we talked about this in the first part of the training where someone is, a struggler, a survivor, a thriver. Even if you're a thriver of the best league, you could be just the average compared to the next level up. So I tell the story of how when I was a school swimmer, when I went to the state level, I was just at the strugglers level of that state championship. And by the time I reached to the top of the state championship, when I get to the next league, which is nationals, in the national, I was still the struggler level of the national. And then I got to work all the way up to the level of a thriver or an achiever in that level. So, but if we want maximum opportunities, what I said yesterday in the session is that you need to jump to a bigger league. If you don't jump to a big league, you don't make a deliberate action to do that, you're not going to be able to maximize it. Okay, so here are the 3 reasons that I discussed yesterday for those who learn parts to maximize their opportunities in life, to maximize their possibilities, is so that we can help ourselves better, so that we could help someone else, and so that we could help the masses, help other people. That's why we do that, okay? Now, when we talk about the structures, there were 2 ways to see it yesterday. The first one is to look at the weakest element, and the other way is to look at the strongest element. The weakest element of our structures tells us in what ways that we could actually get some help to maximizing our potential. Because we talk about maximizing potential, we got to get some help, right? Okay, so it's either through coaching, through teaching, through advice from others, through counseling, or through support. So different structures requires a different approach in assisting themselves to the next level. So if your influence element is the lowest or 0, get coaching. If the output element is closest to 0, get people to teach you how to do it. If the resource element is closest to 0, get advice. You need advisors. If the wealth element is close to 0, get counseling. And the companion element is 0, get support. Okay, so that was what we discussed. And then I switched on to talking about what is the strongest structure and how do they relate in your life. So the first one is wealth structure, where it is purpose-driven. People the way they operate is they're more direct, they're results-oriented, they're firm, they're forceful. And then there was the output structure, which the people, they are more the creative line, they are enthusiastic, they like to be different, they have different ideas, they contribute a lot of ideas, and they are the ones that are more usually motivated by connection with other people. And then there's the companion structures, who are more people-driven, they are sociable, they like having fun, they are affectionate, they need consensus and approval. And then we have the influence structure, who are progress-driven operators. They like to follow systems, they follow rules, they're systematic, they're structured. They like to comply, so you're going to give them directions. And then finally, we have the resource structures, who are product-driven. They are analytical, they are systematic, they're most even-tempered, and they are careful, they're calculative. And these are the group of people who are normally described as being detail-oriented, okay? So then I also talked about mentor luck. How do you actually find a mentor? I told the story of how mentors are not exactly people that always are nice to you, but they are pivotal people in your life that might say something, do something that, if you reflect on it, might be the changing point in your life. Okay, so how to recognize your noble people is the animal sign, and where it appears: year, month, day, hour. Because it appears in the year, you're going to find them in your social circle. It appears in the month, you're going to find the noble people in your work environment. If it appears in the day, it's going to be a very close personal relationship. It's going to be an hour, it's someone you hired or trained. Okay, if it's a luck pillar, it's going to be some events outside. And I also told the story about how a spiritual epiphany happened when I read an article about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's this super creative star, right? One day he wrote that, he always get inspiration from God to write the music. And he would call up his producer, hey, I got this song, and here's what you need to do in the middle of the night. And then someone asked me, what you need to tell me in the middle of the night? You can tell me, when I see you next week or next month. And I remember in the article, it says very clearly that Michael Jackson says that if I don't act on this, then Prince will get the idea. And I think this is really true for a lot of us who get inspiration in our younger days. And as we grow older, we don't get any more inspiration. It's because we don't act on it. We don't do anything about it. And so if there's a higher power, the higher power is always going to give to someone who takes action, and or it's able to, do something with the idea. It's very much equivalent to you being a boss of your company and a CEO. You want to give the project to the most willing employee and the one who actually takes action, rather than someone who sits on an idea and never do anything, right? So think of it this way, right? When you have nobleman people inspire you or give you an opening, or whatever it is, when that it comes to you in your life, give you an idea, you should act on it immediately. That's the story. Okay, so nobleman year, nobleman luck cycle. When you see an idea, act on it. Okay, and also another topic that I talked about was the 3 gifts and the 2 needs. The 3 gifts are and the 2 needs are basically how you see in the person's chart whether they're gifted in learning metaphysics and turning it into something as a tool to impact other people. The first gift is the Taiji nobleman and celestial nobleman. If you have a Taiji nobleman, you can learn this. It's going to be a very impactful tool to learn this. I personally have 2 Tai Chi Nobleman stars. And Celestial Nobleman is somewhat like a past life or past experience or parallel life. You have this access, but after, like as you are learning this and listening to this, you somehow pick it up very quickly, right? So it's like you learned it before, but it takes time, okay? It's not like immediate, like you do it now and next morning you suddenly know how to do it. It takes time. And the other one is Kui water and Ting fire stems. The yin water and yin fire stem you have in your chart, likely you will succeed in this field or make some money or turn it into a good business because this represents the north-south axis, like the compass. And or a third gift is you have a DE, a death and emptiness in year, month, day, hour, or even a luck pillar, because these are seekers of answers in life. And all of us in metaphysics, we like to seek answers. We like to know why. We like to help people. That's why DE turns out to be very good for people in the spiritual and or metaphysics pursuit. And the 2 needs refers to the resource element problem and the output element problem. So resource problem is when people think too much or think too little or not very sure what they think all the time. Might as well have metaphysics to guide them to get the right information. And output is ability to impact and teach other people. So to be a good guru, to be a good teacher, have metaphysics as your guide. That's why these are called the 3 gifts and the 2 needs. And before we finish, I talked about the need to secure 2 appointments as the first challenge for the part 2. So we talked about you as a student of Bazi, if you're getting started, secure 2 appointments this week to do reading for people. In fact, I also prepared the letters, the emails that you could send out, the message you can send out on the phone to actually get that appointment, to make it easy, no pressure sort of reading, and charge a small fee for it. You want to charge a small fee, $30, all right? That will be a starting point. How you're going to do it is you're going to read the person's personality based on part 1 of the training, and then operating style based on part 2, and then come up with some recommendations. That's up to you to provide some form of advice. Okay, so that's very, very important. And that $30, the reason you collect the money is so important because firstly, there must be a form of energy exchange, very important. You can use them, you don't have to keep the money. You can say it's for education fund, a medical fund, a random act of kindness fund, for your paid forward fund or healing fund, or any medical fund you might need, right? Or to rescue the wildlife type fund. So have a purpose, raise a bit of money, right? You can keep the money or you can use it as a fund. It's surely better than shaving head for some good cause, right? I mean, you could actually raise some funds and donate for that cause. So I also provided the link to download the message you send out to actually get the appointment. So I hope that you do that. And I also explained that there are, if you do this well over time, you can be a beginner, make some money to support your funds. And if you do it well enough, in the 4 to 6 months time, you become an intermediate practitioner. Your income will grow up if you're practicing. I mean, some people might look for a side gig or a side practice. This is how much they made. I explained the whole process yesterday. And if you're a master, then really you turn this into a thriving career yourself. Okay, so that was the whole process that I explained yesterday. And also, for the final part is everyone needs to go home and fill up an assignment for themselves. This is the homework. It's called a Bazi Potential gap, right? So the Bazi Potential, we're going to talk about the gap, where you are and where you want to be, and the cost of not closing this gap in dollars and cents, not just, I might feel bad or I might let my parents down. Not like that. You want to put it in dollars and cents and do some deep thinking and how soon you want to achieve the goal, along with how you analyze your personality and how you analyze your operations. You will understand yourself a lot more. And if you submit your homework to the Facebook group, following the instruction, take a photo of yourself and submit your homework, you might stand a chance to win a book from us. There'll be 10 copies to be given away, okay? And don't forget to catch part 3 live, because part 3 is going to be transformational, because we're going to talk about how you can use Bazi to actually have a better career, how to impact lives and make that transformation, and what skill set do you need to acquire based on your chart. So don't miss it. I'll see you in part 3.